I want to talk about something that comes up so often in my work, and it's that strange, exhausting sensation of physically pausing but mentally running a marathon. You might sit down on the couch at the end of a long week, close your laptop and put your phone on silent, but your body is still buzzing at exactly the same speed. You are technically off the clock, but your mind is completely refusing to stand down. We talk so much about the importance of work-life balance, but we rarely talk about the actual mechanics of slowing down. And the truth is, many of us have simply forgotten how to do it. When I work with people who are struggling with this, I tell them to look out for 5 very specific signs that their ability to switch off has been compromised. The first sign is how you start your morning. If you find yourself reaching for your phone before your eyes are even fully open, before you've had a single second to decide how you want your day to feel, you are handing over your peace. Within 30 seconds of waking, you let the outside world dictate your emotional state by reading emails, scrolling through news, or looking at someone else's highlight reel. You haven't given yourself even 5 quiet minutes to just exist, to breathe, and to decide what kind of energy you want to bring to your day. Instead, you instantly put your brain into a state of reaction, letting whatever notification is waiting for you set the tone. The second sign is the emotional side of taking a break, which is when you feel a persistent flicker of guilt during rest. This is that quiet, nagging anxiety that creeps in the moment you sit down to do absolutely nothing. You decide to watch a movie, but you feel like you should be folding laundry. You lie down for a nap, but your mind compiles a mental to-do list of everything you are ignoring. We have normalized this idea that rest is something that must be earned through exhaustive labor rather than a basic biological and psychological necessity. When you try to pause, your brain treats that stillness as a mistake, whispering that you are falling behind or being lazy. The third indicator is when you finish a holiday and immediately feel like you need another holiday just to recover from it. This happens because we often treat our vacations the exact same way we treat our work weeks. We overschedule them, we turn sightseeing into a series of performance metrics, or we spend the entire trip physically present but mentally processing the mountains of work waiting for us when we return. You fly home and realize your shoulders are still up to your ears, your mind is still racing, and you are just as depleted as you were before you left. You did all the things you were supposed to do to relax, but your nervous system never actually got the memo. The fourth sign is how you handle silence. If quiet makes you deeply uncomfortable to the point where you have to constantly fill it, you are likely running from your own thoughts. You might find that you can't wash the dishes without a podcast playing, you can't drive down the street without the radio on, or you can't even sit in a quiet room for 2 minutes without reaching for background noise. We use constant stimulation as a buffer because actual silence feels heavy. It forces us to confront the stress and the emotions we are trying to ignore, so we keep the noise levels high just to keep our own minds at bay. The fifth and final sign is that you measure a good day only by your physical output and never by how it actually felt to live. At the end of the day, when you look back, your satisfaction is entirely dependent on how many items you crossed off your checklist. If you were highly productive, you feel permitted to relax. If you had a slow day or a day where you simply rested and connected with people, you write it off as a waste of time. You have completely decoupled your sense of self-worth from your actual human experience, trading your well-being for a gold star in productivity. If you recognize yourself in 2 or 3 of those signs, I want you to take a deep breath and let that sink in. As your coach, I want to assure you that this is not a character flaw. It is not a sign that you are broken or that you are doing life wrong. It is simply a learned pattern. It is a highly efficient coping mechanism that was likely learned somewhere that rewarded constant output over actual rest. We live in a world that constantly praises the hustle, that equates busy with important, and that teaches us our value is tied to our utility. It makes perfect sense that your nervous system has adapted to stay on high alert. But here is the beautiful part of our work together. What is learned can be unlearned. You do not have to live in this constant state of mental static forever. Reclaiming your peace doesn't require a massive lifestyle overhaul or a week-long retreat to start fixing. It starts with something much smaller. It starts with simply noticing. It is about catching yourself in the act of reaching for your phone or noticing that tightness in your chest when you sit down to rest and observing it without judging yourself for it. Tomorrow I am going to share one very small, highly actionable boundary that you can put in place to start shifting this dynamic immediately. It is a simple tool to help you reclaim your mornings and train your brain to slow down. And then on Friday, we are going to look at the full picture live, where we will dive deep into how to actually retrain your nervous system to feel safe in the stillness. I hope to see you there because you deserve to learn how to truly rest.